Hey everybody, what's up? This is my review on Matsuricon 2013. 2013 marked the 8th year for Matsuricon. Even though they've been going for 8 years, the con is still relatively small. But despite the size, they invite a ton of amazing guests and have a few very unique events. This year, Matsuricon was held once again at the Hyatt Regency Columbus and the Columbus Convention Center in the heart of Columbus, Ohio. This is the same place where the con OhioCon is held, though it's a bit smaller, so if you're afraid of large cons, this is the one to go to. This was my first year at Matsuricon, and to cut straight to the point, I had an amazing time. I was pretty impressed with everything that was going on there. The first thing you'll notice when you're thinking about going to Matsuricon is the lineup of voice actors. It's enormous, especially for a con of this size, and they were all voice actors that people really wanted to see. I don't think anybody was disappointed with this lineup of voice actors. Along with having amazing voice actors, they had some of the coolest events I've ever seen. They tried to do laser tag, which worked decently. They did dodgeball. They had floor events where you pushed somebody around in a cart and took pictures. Pokemon Snap. They just had a lot of really unique events that I'd never seen anyone do before. It was definitely different and it was really cool. This convention has a food court. If you've ever been to a convention in your life, you know how important that is. Half the time when you're at a con, you're going to be starving and completely tired. And to have a food court right there that you can just walk into and buy something is one of the nicest things you could ask for. I don't often talk about a rave during a review, but I have to talk about Matsuricon's rave. It was just amazing, and the DJs they had were some of the best DJs I'd ever seen at a convention, ever, period. If they continue to invite those same DJs back, I will continue to go year after year just for the rave, not even mentioning anything else. Those were some great DJs. I'm actually kind of surprised I'm saying this, but the staff at this convention was good for the most part. There was like one staff member that I had a problem with, which is awesome because a lot of conventions have a lot of really rude and power hungry staff. This convention did very good as far as the staff. This one really doesn't have to do with the convention itself, but the fans. And I gotta say, these fans made some of the most creative cosplay I'd ever seen. Not only were they good, they were just creative. They were characters that you would never think of cosplaying. It was really cool, and I would recommend coming next year just to see those cosplayers. The dealer's room is what I consider to be one of the most important parts of a convention, and this dealer's room was decent. It wasn't the best dealer's room I'd ever seen, but it also definitely wasn't the worst. It's not going to disappoint anybody, but it's also not going to make anyone flip out and go crazy over it. It's alright. Earlier, I mentioned that this is kind of a small con, but don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel really small. When everybody's in there, it feels like a pretty big con, but even though it feels big, it still feels really chill. This is one of the best medium-sized cons I've ever been to. It all just flows perfectly. Okay guys, along with all the good things I've said, there are a couple bad things we need to talk about. Let's be honest, no con's perfect. The first thing I noticed that was bad was the schedule. It wasn't done that well. That's not to say that there wasn't cool things happening, just the schedule book itself. There was no actual written out schedule in it, just events. Later on, they printed out schedules that you could take with you and look at, but they still weren't that great, and they didn't explain what the things were right on it. I've just seen this done way better at other cons, having it all in one book, all in one location, and it was just kind of a hassle to have it in two different places and have to keep referencing each one. And in the book itself, it didn't have them in any type of order. It was really hard to find the con that you wanted to go to and figure out what it was all about. I would just recommend next year making your schedule in a little better format. Kind of look at how some other cons do it and work with that. It just would help a lot. One of the things that kind of surprised me at first was that there's no showing rooms. Most conventions have places where you can go and just sit down and watch anime and chill with people and hang out. This one didn't have any. It's the first convention I've ever seen like that. This doesn't take a lot away from the convention, like it really wasn't a big deal, but to me, I just found it a little strange and pretty different than most of the convention I've been to. Okay, somebody help me out on this. Can you tell me in the comments please why we weren't allowed to have free hug signs? I mean, I know that there was something going on with it, they posted it on their page, there's no free hug signs, but this is so weird to me. Every convention I've ever been to, there's hundreds of people walking around with free hug signs. Why couldn't people wear free hug signs? I don't understand. I mean, it really wasn't a big deal. You don't need to be free hugging people all over the place, but to me, that's just part of a convention. You see people with free hug signs. Maybe I'm missing something, but please let me know in the comments, why were there no free hug signs? Okay, another thing I would like to know more about is why guys had to bandage their nipples up when they had no shirt on. I understand it was part of the convention center, it's part of their rules, but I really didn't understand the point. I mean, guys can walk around without shirts on outside without covering up their nipples, and it's no big deal. I understand girls covering them up because it can be a whole nudity thing, but why guys? It didn't make any sense to me. It doesn't change anything. And I mean, it may not be something the convention can control. I'm sure it's not because they said it was a convention center rule, but I just want everyone to know for the future, if you've never been to this convention and you're a guy and you're gonna cosplay someone that has no shirt, you're gonna have to bandage your nipples up. So I hope you're ready for that. I'm giving location a 10 out of 10. It was a great location. They have a food court. The hotel was pretty big, and Columbus is just a beautiful city in general. I give production for this con a 10 out of 10. It was very nice. They had a lot of awesome panels. They were really unique. The rave was amazing. Everything they tried for worked great. I'm giving the convention rules a 6 out of 10. This is kind of low, but this convention does have a lot of rules. I mean, I understand they're trying to make it all family friendly, but it just seems like a lot, and you're not going to be used to it if you've never been to this convention. Most other conventions don't do this. So this is definitely the low part of the con, but it's still not bad, and this con was still a really great time. A 7 out of 10 for the dealer's room. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't amazing. At the end of the day, I don't think it'll disappoint anyone, but a 7 out of 10 is as high as it's getting. Overall, I give Matsuricon 2013 an 8.5 out of 10. It's definitely a convention I would recommend people to go to next year and for many years to come. Let me know what you thought of my review in the comments, and let me know what you thought of the convention. Would you have given it a different score than what I did, or do you completely agree? Thanks for watching, and I hope you all had a good time last weekend.